Alright people, this is it. This is our moment. We just got the first official trailer for Marvel Studios' Moon Knight, our first MCU project of 2022, which was just announced to be airing on March 30th only on Disney Plus, alongside this great, just beautiful poster as well. And like I said, we just got the trailer, which this trailer is amazing. I mean, it's so good and gets me so excited for this series. This is definitely my most anticipated Disney Plus series of this year, and has just been something I've really been looking forward to ever since it was first announced, because just to see that we're getting the introduction of this character to the MCU, I think is going to be so cool, specifically in this series, because if you look at the past, all the other MCU Disney Plus series so far, they're dealing with characters we were already introduced to in the movies, with Wanda and Vision, and Sam and Bucky, and Loki, and even Hawkeye. So now there's the first MCU Disney Plus series that not only introduces a new character to the MCU, but also to just a lot of people in general, because most people don't even know who Moon Knight is. He is, I don't want to say an obscure character, but definitely a lesser known character that definitely has his fan base in the comics, but it's more of a cult following. He's not like a super popular character. So I love that this character is now finally going to be introduced to a new fan base now that he's joining the MCU in his very own Disney Plus series. And because a lot of people don't even know who Moon Knight is, before we even get into talking about the trailer, I just want to talk about Moon Knight as a character and who is Moon Knight, because, you know, I've always thought he was a really cool character, but I never really knew much about him until I actually really dug deep into doing some research on this character. And he's a really interesting, complex character, Marc, Spector, aka Moon Knight, which gets me even more excited for this series, because there's so much that they're tackling in Moon Knight, and that's something that's going to be really cool. So, like I said, who is Moon Knight? Well, Moon Knight is Marc Spector. Marc Spector started off as a member of the military, and then after he retired, he went on to become a mercenary. Basically did some bad stuff. He went on a mission where he gets, well, to sum it up, basically some bad stuff goes down, things do not go as planned, and he is left for dead when they go on a mission in, I believe it was Africa, but it was in some sort of pyramid dealing with some like ancient Egyptian artifacts and stuff. So he's left for dead until he is saved and kind of brought back to life and possibly given superpowers by the moon god Khonshu. And at the same time, possibly not, because the big question here is any of this actually happening, or is Marc actually just absolutely insane and crazy? Because another thing he's dealing with here is dissociative identity disorder, which you can clearly see all over this trailer, where basically Marc kind of deals with alternate personalities. It's a split personality scenario here, kind of like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type thing, except with more than two personalities. And that's going to be something I'm really excited to see, but with an actor like Oscar Isaac, that's just really taking it to the next level here. So that's something that he deals with throughout his stories, and that's what makes him such a complex character, because he never knows like which personality he is, and like each one is so different. And plus he's got his actual Moon Knight version where he becomes a superhero and just like beats up people and, you know, fights crime. He's a really complex character, and there's a lot going on in this trailer that really teases what's to come in this series, and there's a lot I'm excited for. So guys, without further ado, let's jump into this and break down the official first trailer for Marvel Studios' Moon Knight. So we start off with basically a great example of that dissociative identity disorder, because you can see that he says something about he has a sleeping disorder and he can't sleep, because throughout his night, as he's laying there in bed awake, his eyes wide open because he can't fall asleep, he is thinking about all the different personalities, and he even says like, I can't tell the difference between my waking life and my dreams. So then you get different flashes of him just being like, he just looks insane, and that's kind of the point of it. Like, he just is going through so many different emotions and so many different personalities, and like, who knows what's going on up inside this guy's head. But that's something I'm really interested to find out, is what is going on up there and how is it all organized, because clearly it's not. It's a mess. It is all over the place up in there, and because of that he cannot sleep. But he also has at least a sense of what's going on here, because as you can see, he's kind of taking precautions where I'm not sure if he's in a hotel or if this is like his actual house or whatever. But he chained himself to the bed. Like, he chained his leg to the bed, locked himself up, because he thinks that when he goes to sleep that he wakes up and some other split personality takes over and does other stuff in the night. So that's why he chained himself there, just taking precautions. And I've seen this in other movies and shows before of things like this, and it's like, it's really cool, and it's something I'm interested to see explored here. Marvel Studios, I always love seeing the different versions of the Marvel Studios logos in these trailers. And again, like I said, he's not getting much sleep, so of course he's just falling asleep in the middle of the day. But as you can see, he is going to work at his day job, which seems to be at a museum. You can see Egypt, so they're dealing with some Egyptian artifacts and stuff here, again connecting to his origin, which we do get, I believe, some glimpses of at the end of this trailer. And what's interesting here, though, is because he's working at this museum, and he's having a conversation with this lady where she calls him Stephen. Now, in the comics, one of his personalities is Stephen Grant. And Stephen Grant is kind of the billionaire playboy type character, almost like a Bruce Wayne type character, especially since there's so many comparisons between Batman and Moon Knight, and how Moon Knight is basically Marvel's Batman, but he's much more complex than just Marvel's Batman. But, you know, this is basically kind of his Bruce Wayne persona with Stephen Grant. So first of all, we already get this first confirmation. We are getting Stephen Grant, and this is the version of the character. And so he's working at this museum, and all of a sudden you get to see those flashes of almost like this Moon Knight persona is possibly like an alternate persona that is almost haunting him. It's like he's haunting his dreams, and you can see he looks in a mirror and all of a sudden sees the flash of Moon Knight, which I have to say I love the look of Moon Knight in this series because it's so different yet comics accurate at the same time. Because, I mean, it is basically a suit from the comics, except it's more... In this version, it looks like a bunch of bandages. He looks like he's mummified, which works so well with his origin, with his Egyptian connections and connections to Khonshu. And so he's just going absolutely crazy. He has no idea what's going on here. All of a sudden, he starts getting chased by Khonshu. This is the embodiment of Khonshu. I'll be interested to see, again, if this actually is Khonshu, like the actual Egyptian moon god, or if he just is actually insane and doesn't know what's going on here. Because as you can see, that Khonshu, which by the way looks awesome and scary and disgusting and all of the above here, as it approaches him, all of a sudden turns into this sweet old lady that hopes he finds his contact lenses or whatever. So was that actually there, or was he just imagining it? And again, obviously, like I said, he says like, "Oh, I'm down on the ground because I'm looking for my contact lens." She's like, "Oh, I hope you find it." Nice lady. But yeah, he is dealing with some stuff here this March, not that far away. So excited for this. Here's another great example of that. You can see he's looking in a reflection still at the museum, and all of a sudden, as he walks away, his reflection does not move, because that's like possibly another representation of an alternate persona of Marc Spector. And then he finds this phone ringing that's been hidden somewhere, which possibly another one of his personas hid there, and now this persona is finding it. And it's not completely clear throughout this trailer which persona we're really dealing with at which points, unless they actually say the name. So I'm not exactly sure which one this is, but I mean, it's one of them, so there's that. And like I said, yeah, so he finds this phone that's ringing. He also finds, seems to be a car key or something like that, and somebody's calling him. So who's calling him? Well, we don't know who it is. It seems like a female voice, and for some reason she thinks that he's dead, or like he was, she says something about like, "Oh, thank God you're not dead, Marc." And then he's like, "Why'd you call me Marc?" Because of course this is not Marc Spector that she's talking to right now. This is going to be one of the other personas, but again, just a great representation and example of that dissociative identity disorder. Wow, that's a mouthful. But yeah, then we get introduced to our villain of the series, played by Ethan Hawke. And so far we haven't really been sure who his character is. We know he's the villain, but we don't know who his character is. Well, now it's been I think confirmed that he's playing Arthur Harrow, who is a character from the Moon Knight Marvel Comics, but he's actually a pretty small character and only appeared in like one storyline for Moon Knight, and actually like one issue. So I feel like they're kind of going to do what Marvel Studios does a lot with a lot of characters when adapting them for the MCU, and kind of like merge and combine characters together. So while this character may be called Dr. Arthur Harrow, he may be taking elements from other Moon Knight villains as well. So who is Arthur Harrow? Well, in the comics, he is basically this crazy mad scientist who has this weird disorder that makes him like his face is like deformed or something like that. I mean, he doesn't look deformed here. I mean, he does kind of look like Kevin Bacon, but that's honestly a compliment right there. But yeah, so he like experiments on a bunch of people trying to find this cure for his disfiguration, and basically turns a bunch of people into zombies, and, you know, experiments on people, and it's some crazy stuff that I don't know if we're gonna be seeing all that explored in the series. But then again, zombies, I mean, that'd be pretty cool. I'd love to see that. And another rumor is that actually he could be combined with a character known as the Sun King. That's his name. Yeah, Sun King. So of course Moon Knight, Sun King. So that's pretty cool. Who I don't really know much about that character, but I mean he has like fire power, so that's pretty cool. But what's interesting here though is that he has he's speaking at some sort of public event, and everybody is kind of like bowing down to him, almost like a cult. Now I'm not sure if this will be a cult, or if maybe these are people that maybe they have the same disorder, or maybe he's just promising to help them or something. I don't know exactly what's going on here, but he clearly has an authority figure role above all of these people here. And Oscar Isaac's Marc Spector is just super crazy confused about this, and clearly Arthur Harrow knows something about Marc Spector, may possibly even have connections to his origin, or maybe, we don't know for sure, but he definitely has an interest in Marc, or whatever persona this is, and I'll be interested to find out what that connection is, and what that interest is in this character. And then here's just another shot of Marc just going insane. It seems like he's trapped in some sort of case. Maybe he actually went to get some help at like a doctor or like a specialist or something like that, and this is what's kind of happening there, and probably not going to get the best results from that. Here's another one where it seems like maybe like you can see he's driving a car and holding a gun in his hand, and is super confused, like, why am I holding a gun in my hand? So maybe he literally just switched personas like in the middle of this scene, and all of a sudden is like just realizing what's going on here. So that's pretty interesting. And then all of a sudden is falling off a cliff, and then we get into what I believe is part of Marc's origin as the Moon Knight, where we can see these pyramids, which of course you traditionally see in Egypt, which, yes, actually now that I think about it, Egypt is in Africa. I gotta remember my geography skills. So yeah, Africa, Egypt, and you can see he is inside a temple, most likely one of these pyramids, and he's like bowing down, or like at least on his knees. So this could be that scene where he gets into some trouble and is then left for dead. And he seems very different here, because throughout the rest of the trailer, where he is, at least in the beginning, where he's kind of like almost kind of nerdy and like nervous and like always tired and stuff like that, that's the Stephen Grant persona, at least based off this trailer. So it seems like before he gets this whole split personality thing, before the accident happens, he seems much more confident and more Oscar Isaac, more manly, and more literally, this shot literally reminds me of Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron in the Star Wars movies. Like, just his outfit and everything definitely reminds me of that. So it definitely seems like he's going through a change here, and I'm excited to see this. Like, you see this shot right here where he's got a bag of something, and he looks super happy and is running. I don't know where this is. It looks like metal, or at least like some sort of storage area maybe. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. This one, I don't even know what it is, but you have the voiceover by somebody with a deeper voice, who says something about like embrace the chaos, and then all of a sudden he really does embrace the chaos, because his eyes start going crazy, and it's like, I don't know if this is maybe like his transition between personas, or him like Moon Knight taking over. I don't know exactly what's going on here, but I'm also interested to find out who that voiceover is. Is that Khonshu? Is that Khonshu, the Egyptian moon god, talking to him? Because there are sometimes in the comics where he actually talks to Khonshu, and sometimes it's not even an actual physical embodiment of Khonshu. So sometimes Moon Knight literally talks to the moon, which it can be pretty funny. But yeah, this is interesting right here. And then you see he truly does embrace the chaos, because all of a sudden you see these bandages just start to wrap and form around Marc Spector, as he transforms into Moon Knight. And I love this effect, again, just giving that whole mummified version of Moon Knight in this story. It makes so much sense and really just looks visually really cool in this scene here. And then we get, of course, the big one, the big ending to the trailer with Marc, Spector, Oscar Isaac suited up as Moon Knight. This is one shot we've seen multiple times previously where we can see, I believe he is in the museum again, and he is in the full Moon Knight suit, and he's beating up someone or something. I just did a video, I think yesterday, trying to figure out who this was, because it does not all look human. It looks like some sort of creature or beast. My top two theories were that it's either the Werewolf by Night, who is a character that's been rumored to be introduced in this series, especially considering that in the comics, Moon Knight as a character actually debuted in a Werewolf by Night comic series, so that's pretty cool. We know that character's coming to the MCU anyway because he is going to be starring in this year's Marvel Studios Halloween special, so that's a possibility. But just based off this trailer, really seeing this shot in action, it does look a lot more like Anubis, who of course is another Egyptian god, and just like how we got the physical embodiment of Khonshu, this could be a physical embodiment of Anubis. And I don't really know much about Anubis, but definitely kind of looks like Anubis in the shot. But then again, it is hard to tell. And then, of course, we get the big money shot here of Moon Knight. And again, he just looks great. This is the shot that was actually leaked months ago, our first look at Moon Knight. And it's just so cool looking. Like, you got the moon logo on his chest, on his head, on the top of the hood. You got the white glowing eyes. He just looks so badass here, and I'm absolutely loving this. And then just this great, almost like jump scare big shot at the end, just zoomed in like he's coming at you. It's just so cool. This trailer is amazing. Of course, it flashed up the logo. Marvel Studios Moon Knight original series streaming March 30th. And then this shot I love as well, which we got in our first look at the series on Disney Plus Day, where he's jumping across buildings. You can see he's suited up as Moon Knight. And you can see the moon in the background. That is just so cool, and visually a great shot with cinematography and everything. I love it. Disney Plus. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is the official first trailer from Marvel Studios Moon Knight. Wow. Woo, that was a lot of fun. That really was. I love this trailer. I love this trailer. I love this character of Marc, Spector, aka Moon Knight. I'm so excited to see this series when it debuts on March 30th. I'm just excited to see this story be told. I'm excited to see this character finally introduced to the MCU, and I'm finally glad that we're going to be getting the answers to some of these questions, like what is the deal with Ethan Hawke's Arthur Harrow villain here? Is he also an amalgamation of Sun King from the comics? What is going on with Marc's alternate personas, and like what is going on with the series? Because I'll be honest, like we really don't even know much about the series other than the fact that obviously it's introducing Moon Knight to the MCU, which is obviously the big thing here, but there's so much else going on here that I'm so interested and so excited to find out. But for now, guys, that is the official trailer for Marvel Studios Moon Knight. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm so hyped for this. But guys, let me know your own thoughts on this in the comments below. What do you think about the first trailer for Marvel Studios Moon Knight? And of course, let me know all your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments below as well. And thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so I can keep you up to date on everything that goes on in the Marvel life.